I believe the greatest battle that you have in your life right now is in your mind. Whatever you're battling in right now has to do with what you're thinking about. Have you thought about what you're thinking about? Are you thinking about your past? Are you thinking about your bills today, your present, your job? Thinking about your future and maybe what age you are and what your future is going to be like, and maybe you might be thinking about who you're going to marry, or if you're going to do this job, or maybe you're thinking about, where you're going to retire. Your thoughts are consumed with your life, and it's a battle. It's a battlefield of the mind. Your greatest victories and your greatest losses will be in your mind. Your greatest successes, your greatest times when you know that you can do what you can do is in your mind. You will be defeated if your mind is defeated. And you will be successful if your mind is successful, if you have the mind of Christ.
In our generation, what I'm seeing is that everybody has to engage in the battle. And I think, to be honest, there's a part of you that understands when you watch movies or epic scenes or things that happen, you go, yeah, I got some fight in me. I want to battle for this. And the truth is that Christ knew that. He put within us all a little bit of fight. He put within each of us, it's not a gender-specific attribute, it's a God-given attribute to fight for your life, to fight for your freedom, to fight for what Jesus came to give us when God the Father sent his only Son to die on the cross for you. He said, you're not just going to have to walk the earth in peace, but you're going to face many things. The Bible says we are going to face many trials and tribulations of all kinds, but you need to get your fight on. You got to war for what's in front of you, or things will be taken from you.
It doesn't take much to realize that we are in a spiritual battle. In fact, it's one of the things that we have to learn about early on in our walk with Christ, because it's impossible for us to really serve God without realizing the price that was paid for us to have the opportunity to serve him, but also the war that we live within and really have on the earth that we have to navigate. The Bible says that the enemy is under our feet, but just because the enemy is under our feet doesn't mean we don't have to deal with him. And I want to explain to you what that looks like, but I love the quote, what T.D. Jakes says. He says this: you must understand your enemy, for you cannot defeat what you do not understand. You must understand your enemy, for you cannot defeat what you do not understand. And I think one of the greatest challenges we face as believers is the battle that I'm facing myself. Is it God teaching me a lesson, or is it the enemy coming against me? And that question alone, if we don't know, we can often feel defeated in the battle right from the get-go. Because we don't want to resist God if he's trying to teach us something. And we definitely don't want to empower the enemy. And we also don't want to blame either of them if it's just us. We are all called to do battle. God calls each of us a warrior. God calls each of us a soldier. God calls each of us to be fully armed. So that's not a personality or a gift mix or some kind of spiritual title. He doesn't say, pastors, wear the armor of God. The rest of you, good luck. And we are all called to do battle. God calls each of us a warrior. God calls each of us a soldier. God calls each of us to be fully armed. So that's not a personality or a gift mix or some kind of spiritual title. He doesn't say, pastors, wear the armor of God. The rest of you, good luck. Come on. He calls all of us to be part of the army of God, which means spiritual warfare is not a title. It's not a gift mix. It's not an intercession thing. We're all supposed to participate in it. You see, you have to understand, it's not how much you possess, it's what you possess. It's not like, I would even go so far as to say, it's not even what you possess, it's who you are. You see, you're a child of God.
And every time you acknowledge you're a child of God, it reminds the enemy that he no longer has a position, he'll no longer fill that role, and he knows everything you have access to, and it drives him crazy.
Don't give up. You see, there's a point in our lives when we end up with us and God and a dream and our pain, and we say, either I'm going to cross the river or I'm going to stay here and camp out. And I'm saying to you tonight, don't camp out. Keep going. Persevere. Push through. Don't stop.
Listen, if the enemy can get you to believe a lie, you will empower him in your life. But the moment you actually partner with truth is the moment you stay powerful in your life.
Can I lovingly say to us, don't act like you don't know how to persevere just because you don't want to do it. Don't act like you don't want to be faithful just because you don't want to. Well, I don't know how to be faithful. I don't know how to be loving. Yeah, you do. It's in your God DNA. God put within you his spirit to anoint you to do all good things that will lead you. And I'm telling you, as I'm momming you a little bit, and I'm saying, I love you, sweetheart, but as long as you play dumb, you're never going to be the person you're called to be. And as long as you expect someone to pull you out and to tell you how to do it, and I don't know how, and I'm looking at you saying, I love you, but you do know how. In fact, you could rocket this if you wanted to. And this could be a speed bump in your life. It doesn't have to be a mountain you climb, if you're willing. See, some of us, we will eventually change our theology around our reality if we're not careful. You see, I can't do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Not me. That guy can, but I can't. You see, I can't be grateful. I can't not fear. No, I have unbelief. And I'm saying, have you taken the theology of the Bible and wrapped it around your reality in such a way that's given you permission to not persevere? I get that. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable. Nobody wants to say this is going to take a while. Nobody wants to say you're going to be single for a long, long time. Nobody wants to say, actually, no one's going to hire you to do what's in your heart to do for another 20 years. Actually, you are going to play, you're going to be a co-pilot for a long time. Nobody wants to hear that. But that part of us that says, I don't want to do what's hard. When we go after that part of our hearts, that part of us, listen, the enemy loves to use the part of us that's afraid that the cost will be greater than the reward. And the moment you believe that it will cost you more than what the reward really is the moment you will bow down to the cost. Marriage is hard, yes, but the reward outweighs the difficulty. The reward of having an intimate relationship and knowing someone and being known. Some of us, it's hard being in church. I don't know if you know, church isn't perfect. Why? Because there's people in it, unfortunately. There's people in church and they're not perfect, and so it makes it imperfect. But the reason we stay in community is not because it's awesome and it's amazing and it's just the perfect thing. No. The reason we stay is that there is difficulty. It's difficult being in community. It's difficult being known. It's difficult showing up. It's difficult doing all this effort and going somewhere and hearing the same thing or seeing the same people or seeing people you don't want to see or whatever it is. That's difficult, but the reward of being in community, the reward of actually being known, the reward of being in a moment of worship when the song gets sung and you go, oh, that's your heart for me, God. Something about the reward of seeing 1,000 other people worshiping a God with a different face and a different voice and a different culture and a different season, but saying, I still am going to trust you. There's something about knowing what it costs somebody down the row from you. And seeing them worship is so powerful. When I look over and see my friend who's been barren, and I watch her lift her hands even still, I can't get that at home. When I see somebody who's lost everything still come and give and serve and love. There's something that happens within my spirit where I go, God, you are bigger than I could ever imagine, and a surrendered life is a beautiful life.
Stop holding on to the position that you've always had. Stop just staying where you are. Stop just living where you are. Stop just thinking this is how it's supposed to be. Stop doing what your family taught you to do. Stop living like you have always done, and stop holding on to it. God does not look at us at face value. How many of you are grateful for that? How many of you are really good at failing God? I'm one of those. I'm one of those that I'm going to do this for you, God. I'm going to do that for you. And then I'm not going to say this. And then all of a sudden, it's like Apostle Paul. I do the things I don't want to do. And I say the things I don't want to say. And all of a sudden, I'm doing the things and I'm saying, God, please don't judge me by my actions. Please judge me by my heart, because I really, really want you. Now listen, you are in a battle, whether you like it or not, whether your family is not in a battle, whether you don't realize. Listen, I want to wake you up to the reality that you are in a battle. And you don't have to always be at war, but you're going to have to be aware, the Bible says. The Bible says we are to not be ignorant. Don't be ignorant of the enemy's schemes that are coming to steal and take from you. Now we learn what the enemy can't take from you, he will convince you to give away. What the enemy cannot take from you, he will convince you that you waited too long, you're too far gone, you don't have anything to give, you're not worthy, you should be ashamed, you're not educated enough, you're not cute enough, you married the wrong person. Come on, your story is over, so give it up. Leave it for someone else who's got it together. Leave it alone. Don't try. Don't fight for it. You waited too long for this. Settle. Hang out. Relax. Let somebody else fight the battle. You've been fighting your whole life. And so when we talk about the struggle and the things that happen, I'm all about this because I feel like that's where I've been. I've been in the thick of it. I've been on the field, and I've been fighting these things. I know what it's like to be in the desert. I know what it's like to feel like you want to give up. I know what it's like to ask questions in your time with the Lord more than ever get answers. I know what it's like to feel like it's always going to be this way, and I'm always going to act this way, and nothing's ever going to change. I know what it feels like to feel like that. You were never called to live a defeated life. You were never called to wake up depressed every day of your life. You were not on this earth to be discouraged all the time. That is not the plan of God. That is not the abundant life for you. And there's no way you can work yourself into that. But there are some keys to it. So every Christian has their desert. Do you know every Christian has their desert? I believe that our desert is where our greatest temptations happen and our greatest challenges. It's where our theology matches our reality. What's theology? Theo, the study of God. Theo. It's where our belief system matches up to what we really live. You ever find that? When it's really hard, it's what you really believe comes out. You can say, I trust God, but if you use your next 23 hours a day to worry and be anxious, then some of it's a little bit of lip action. That's okay. I've been there. We can get past that.